You know, I envy that perfect hostess who has everything done, dinner prepared, the house immaculate, is dressed to the nines, and ready to visit and entertain when the guests arrive. I envy them because that's normally not me. When we have guests over, if I get through my preparations before my guests arrive, I usually only have about 15 minutes to shower, put on makeup, and get dressed. And then I still need to put the food out or finish baking the rolls. Usually I'm a Mary. But here in today's gospel, we have Martha doing what I usually do and Mary doing what I want to do. The ancient theological argument has traditionally been about works versus faith. Whole religious orders are forged along those two lines. Some orders are service-oriented, with nuns and monks going out to do good works among the population, such as working in hospitals or schools, teaching and healing, while other orders remain sequestered in hallowed halls, praying for the world and spending their time in quiet contemplation of the Lord. But that may not be what this is about. Let's go back to the practical aspects of this story. We don't know why Mary wasn't doing anything or why Martha seemed to be doing all the work. We only know that Jesus tells Martha she is distracted by many things. Scenario 1, maybe they knew Jesus was coming, so Mary got up early and finished her work so she would have time to visit once he got there. And maybe Martha decided to sleep in and do her jobs at the last minute, thereby being rushed and feeling like she needed help. Or scenario number 2, maybe they didn't know ahead of time he was coming. And so when he showed up, Mary got busy doing all the necessary things to prepare a place for him. Did I say Mary? I meant Martha, whatever. And Mary chose to sit and listen instead of working at the time. Maybe she planned to do her work later. The one thing we do know is that Jesus chastises Martha for being distracted, not for working, not for not having things done, but for being distracted. I know about being distracted. When I sit down to write a sermon, I'm sitting down to visit with Jesus, and I can get distracted by all kinds of things. I see that the dishes need to be washed. I need to pay a bill. I need to put the food out for the cat. My plants on the front porch need to be watered. I get hot, and I need to turn up the AC or turn on a fan. Somebody calls or I get a text message and I need to answer. I check my email and find an article that looks interesting, and so I start reading it. I decide that I need some exercise. Okay, so I'm going to walk all that off. But there are a number of times when I think of an appropriate song, so I sit down and play the piano. Or I find a dozen other distractions. Anyone who has a problem with ADD will know exactly what I'm talking about. My intentions are good, but my follow-through may get sidetracked. One of the classes we had in seminary was about praying with Scripture. We met 1 hour a week as an extension of our Bible studies class. The text was a book called The Word is Very Near You. This interested me, that this was the last line of our New Testament reading last week. The Word is very near you. The idea behind the class was that seminary is very academically oriented. And in the midst of all the hustle and bustle of study, we need to take time out to just be still and know God. The prayer session was led by a senior student, and a group of about 8 of us would gather in a room with couches and easy chairs. A candle was placed on the coffee table, and the senior would lead us in a time of personal prayer. We talked about our understanding of prayer, and one young seminarian commented, "I don't have to pray. My whole life is a prayer." Hopefully, as ministers of the Word, our whole life is a prayer. But that doesn't necessarily absolve us from spending time in prayer. Even Jesus spent time in prayer. That is one of the reasons that I'm such a proponent of Cresceo. In Cresceo, there is a plan that balances the elements of Mary and Martha, of doing work for Jesus and spending time in his presence. One commentary I read suggested that Martha's distractions were produced by anxiety, and that anxiety was produced by her insecurities, her belief that she needed to be productive, to have everything perfect in order to be loved. I can understand that. And I even like it as an explanation, because it's a lot like me. I can understand that. But I can also hear Jesus saying, "Martha, you don't have to have everything done in order to please me. I don't care if the whatnot shelf isn't dusted, or if the meal's a little late being put on the table. I want to visit with you, spend time with you while I am here." That's often our fear, that we're not good enough, that we need to do something in order to be accepted. And Jesus tells us to slow down, that he loves us just as we are. He is telling us not to get so tied up in the details of working for him that we forget to just be with him. So whether you're a Martha or a Mary, I'd like to leave you with a prayer by Clara Monkpriest. Lord of all pots and pans and things, since I've not time to be a saint by doing lovely things or watching late with thee, or dreaming in the dawn light, or storming heaven's gates, make me a saint by getting meals and washing up the plates. Though I must have Martha's hands, I have a merry mind. And when I black the boots and shoes, your sandals, Lord, I find. I think of how they trod the earth each time I scrubbed the floor. Accept this meditation, Lord. I haven't time for more. With your love and light it with your peace. Forgive me all my worrying and make my grumbling cease. You who love to give men food, in room or by the sea, accept this service that I do it unto thee.